Hello, friends. Welcome all. Today, I would like to give you some brief idea about oil and gas industry in India. I hope to give you some statistics about oil and gas industry in India. And these statistics are related to how much oil reservoirs we have, and what is the refinery capacity, how we are doing with respect to oil imports, and what are the advantages we have on India side, when what are the disadvantages we have on as a country, and what are the risks of having these advantages. So I'll try to highlight most of these points, and let's see how we go through this topic. So the first and foremost thing what we need to understand is who is the ministry who is heading this petroleum and natural gas, that means an oil and gas industry. So current ministry is Mr. Dharmendra Pradhan. He taken office since 2014, and he's the current minister for petroleum and natural gas for government of India. Okay, that thing aside, let's get started with the real topic and the content. We will start going into more details of the industry. So the basic thing that we need to understand is how old the industry in India. The oil and gas industry in India dates back to 1889, when the first oil deposits in the country were discovered near the town of Digboi, if I pronounce the name properly. Please excuse me for that. And it is in the state of Assam. And the natural gas industry in India began in the 1960s with the discovery of gas fields again near Assam and Gujarat. So that's how old the industry is in India. And now coming to the statistics of the reserves. So how much oil we have in India, that is underneath the ground, underneath the earth. So there are a lot of oil reservoirs in every part of the world, and how much India owns. So as on 2015, if we consider data of that year, so India had estimated crude oil reserves of 763.48 million metric tons. So it is usually called as MMT, and natural gas reservoirs of 1488.49 billion cubic meters, though that is again PCM it is called. So, but this is the 2015 data. When we come to 2016, the data changes slightly, and the crude oil reserves was 621.10 million tons, I mean million metric tons, and the natural gas reserves was 1227.23 billion metric tons, or billion cubic meters. So that's how much reserves we have. That's again on the 2016 data. So this is about how much reservoirs we have. But is this reservoirs enough to provide sufficient oil fuels for India? No. So that is the reason. Now coming to the oil and gas exploration. So whatever reservoirs we have in India, there is one company called as ONGC. It is called as Oil and Natural Gas Corporation India, basically. So it is an PSU, that is public sector undertaken kind of industry. It is monitored and regulated by government of India. So that's one good thing. And of all the reserves that we have on the crude oil as well as the natural gas oil, this particular company produces around 77% of India's crude oil. So that means it explores 77% of all the exploration that takes place in India. So that's one factor we need to understand. So which is equivalent to around 30% of the country's total demand. You can see we have only 30% of exploration taking place in India. You can see that the 70% is met with some other sources, so that we will discuss very soon, and around 62% of its natural gas. So overall, whatever reservoirs we have, crude oil or the natural gas, from the crude oil we extract 77%, and from natural gas we are at 62% of exploration. So that is one important factor we need to understand. Next comes, as I just mentioned, that is the reservoirs good enough for us? Can they provide all the fuel needs that India expects? So it is not just about consumer fuel needs. So if you walk into a fuel station, you refuel and you go. So that is only the retail business. So there are large scale industry, small scale industry. So every kind of industry needs some or the other kind of fuel. And the diesel and petrol, these are the byproduct of the crude oil. So these fuels are used extensively in any part of the world, and India is no different. So now comes the surprising or more shocking statement here. So where India stands today, how we are surviving, or how we are meeting our fuel needs in India. So that is by being the fourth in the rank of importing the crude oil to meet India's necessities, to meet India's demands. So the first rank, just if you want to know who is in the first three ranks, first is Japan, second is South Korea, and third is China. So just to let you know, I think we are at least better than China in this case, because more the imports, more the complications. There are a lot of political reasons why we shouldn't be targeting for being a good ranking, because this is imports, and most of the this is the bloodline. Fuel things are crude oil is the bloodline for any country to run. So if we have the bigger the rank, as in down in the line, we are better. So we are fourth largest importer of crude oil and natural gas, which is shocking, as well as it is an alarming thing. But on the flip side, India is now a net exporter of petroleum products. So that is because we have a lot of refineries. So just to let you understand, crude oil is the raw oil that comes out of from the ground, and once it comes out, we need refineries to segregate or to create different products. So it's usually called petroleum products. So how depends on at every temperature, when we heat up the crude oil, at every temperature there is a different product created or generated. So basically, in India we have very good refineries. We have a lot of refineries. Because of that, even though we import a lot of crude oil, we are in a good condition to export the byproducts or the petroleum products to other countries. May not be to the developed countries, but at least other underdeveloped and developing countries. And that's how we are on the good side. So India is now a net exporter of petroleum products. The export actually doubled in last 10 years. In 2016 it was just 33 million metric tons, and in 2016 it is 60, so which is almost doubled. So that is a good side of it. And now comes, who are the major retail business companies? So retail business, as in the petrol pumps, the fuel stations. Obviously, you know the first three. You would see these three everywhere or every part of the country. So Indian Oil, and these are listed as per their rank. Rank, as in India we have more than 60,000 fuel stations. So that's the huge number of fuel stations. But the Indian Oil has the major share of it. So Indian Oil has close to 26,489. This data is around 2016 and 17, so maybe it might have increased by now. But yeah, the Indian Oil has the maximum number of fuel stations. Then comes the Hindustan Petroleum, HP, and the third one is Bharat Petroleum. Fourth, fifth, sixth, you can see. Shell, even though it has a good reputation of providing quality products, on operation side, it is just having 90 fuel stations. So maybe I think it has good plans to jump up that number. Okay, and you can see that this jump is, I mean, the jump was almost 70%, because the jump was almost 45% in last 6 years. That is because in 2010, petrol was deregulated. Hope you understand what is deregulation. If not, it was unsubsidized. So earlier, everything, even petrol and diesel, both were coming in subsidized rate. That means the government used to share some part of the fuel price. But in 2010, petrol was deregulated, and in 2014, as we all know, diesel was deregulated. And this deregulation took place because in these years, the crude oil price per barrel went really down, and that helped India to deregulate and without impacting the consumers or the people of the country. So with this, I think there is a scenario in India where even the private players like the Reliance and Shell, these are actually private players. The first three, what you see is the state owned, again government regulated. Every company is government regulated, but the Indian Oil, HP, and Bharat Petroleum are public sector undertaken. So these are heavily monitored and regulated by the India. So basically, these are state owned, we call it. So, but Reliance and Shell, they are privately owned. These are only regulated by the Indian laws and Indian regulations, but these are privately maintained and owned. So Reliance and Reliance Shell, Isar, these three might increase their fuel stations. They might increase the petrol pumps. They may double it, or they may make it to 10 times. So that's the possibility, because earlier it was very difficult for them to establish fuel stations. That is because before the deregulation took place, Indian Oil, HP, Bharat Petroleum, they used to get money from the government, whatever the subsidized price the government is agreed to pay. But the private sellers, they were not in in that scenario. So that's the reason, as now everything is deregulated, for every company, it is the same price. So they get it for the same price, they sell it for the market price. So the profit is almost similar. So that is the reason the fuel stations by the private companies may increase, or may double, or it may become 10 times in coming years. Maybe by 2020, we'll see a lot of Reliance, Shell petrol pumps. Okay, so the next point that I would like to highlight is, so once we know that there are so much of oil needs we have, having 60,000 petrol pumps, so is it important know that how much refinery we have? Because without refineries, obviously we don't get the end product, right? So we don't get the petrol and diesel in the form we can use it for our vehicles or for whatever needs we have. So oil refining is a very important process that takes place. Okay, so on oil refining side, we also discussed that the good side of India is we have a lot of oil refining. We also export some of the petroleum products. So how we stack up to oil refinery? First thing is how much we can refine. So we can refine, as of 2017, we can refine around 230 million metric tons of crude oil. So that's a big deal actually. That's a huge amount of crude oil that we can refine. And how many refineries we have? All this 230 million metric tons refining doesn't take place in one industry or one specific area. So we have around 23 crude oil refineries which can refine crude oils. So as you can see here, some 18 are state owned, 3 are privately owned, 2 are joint ventures. So in these 23 crude oil refineries, most of these crude oil refineries are established by the major players in India. That is, again, Indian Oil Corporation has the huge number of refineries. It's a market leader in that again. Now, next we have Hindustan Petroleum, Bharat Petroleum, and Bharat Oman Refineries is actually a joint venture. So the two joint venture that you saw here, so one of them is Bharat Oman. Oman is an country, if you know. So Oman Airlines, if you have heard about it, so it is from the same country. So we have a lot of relation with respect to oil and gas with Oman country. So Bharat Oman Refinery is one of the joint ventures. Then we have Chennai Petroleum Corporation Limited. Again, it is a state-owned refinery. We have Oil and Natural Gas Corporation. As I said, again, it is a state-owned. It is regulated by the government of India. We have Mangalore refineries. We have Reliance Industries. Reliance Industry has one of the top class refineries in the country. So even many companies, even Shell depends on Reliance for refining the crude oil, and it actually takes supplies from Reliance sometimes. And Isar Oil Limited has its own refineries. So these are the different refineries. These are actually the industries. So Indian Oil has a couple of refineries, and Hindustan Petroleum has a couple of refineries. So all together, all these companies together, we have around 23 crude oil refineries in India. So that is one of the good thing. This is the good side of where we stand today. The next comes, we have seen that India is fourth in the rank in terms of importing crude oil and natural gas. That really doesn't sound good, right? So it has to be self dependent. There are many reasons for that. The one reason why we have to be self dependent is because there are a lot of political reasons. So you might have heard about Iran Iraq war and all this. Even though for outside world it looks like more of a like the political war, but it is because of the oil reserves that those countries have. Because of that reason the war took place, because of the fight between how much oil each country can have, how we are exploring. There are actually a lot of secrets in these things, but one of the major reasons to have war in these countries is because of the oil and gas reservoirs they have. Now you can understand how much oil and gas industry is important, because that defines the fate of country, and that could also bring a lot of problems as well. So that is the reason it is very important to be self dependent in as much as possible. What India is doing to become a self dependent, the first thing India is doing is the country's gas production is expected to touch 90 billion cubic meters, which is huge number. So natural gas is not your kitchen gas. Natural gas is just a form of crude oil. It is a different kind of exploration of oil. Again, if you heat up a natural gas, natural gas is a form of petroleum product. You can extract petrol and diesel out of the natural gas. So natural gas is actually a raw form of oil. So crude oil is again a raw form of oil, and when you refine it you get different products. So similarly natural gas is also, you can use it for different things. So when we are increasing the production of natural gas, obviously we are in better position to meet India's needs. So that's one good thing, that is one good plan. And the second is India imports 82% of its oil needs. As I said, we are fourth in the rank, and obviously there is no surprise that we have 82% of imports that takes place in India, and aims to bring this down to 67%. So that is more than a 15% down maybe. So by 2022, which is hardly I think another 4 years away from achieving it. That is one good thing. Whatever percentage we reduce, it is for our good. Even though we can reduce it by 1%, it's a good sign that we are trying to be self-dependent. So we have to be self-dependent, and whatever steps we take place in that way, it is always good. Okay. So next comes, when we want to be self-dependent, what we are doing, what initiatives we are taking, and how much investment we are doing, or what are our investment plans. These make very important role to define India's stand to be self-dependent. So the first point is Saudi Aramco. Saudi Aramco is again a Saudi country company, and it is expected to invest in refineries. As I said, we are in very good position with respect to oil refineries. So that is the reason even Aramco is trying to set up a refinery in India. So sometimes we might import crude oil more than what we need, and we would refine it and export it to some other countries as a final product. So that is a possibility. That is the reason it is important sometimes to have good refineries. So maybe because countries like Bangladesh, Myanmar. So other countries, they will not have area to set up a refinery. So they might be importing, even if you consider Nepal, they are importing the final products from India. That's one good condition, because we can refine and we can export it, so that they depend on us in terms of oil and gas supply. So that's one good thing. This actually brings many countries to be together. So that is a good sign. When we are together, we can become more stronger. So that's the reason it is important that if we are not good at reservoirs, which is a natural phenomena which nobody can decide, but where we can strengthen our position is by setting up different refineries and good quality refineries and increasing that refining capacity. So that is one of the reason Saudi Aramco is expected to invest in refineries. Second thing is state-owned oil companies like Indian Oil, HP, BP, all these companies, even the ONGC, to increase crude oil production by 4 million tons, which is huge amount, and double the natural gas production by 2020. 2020 is not very far, just 2 years away from now, and this initiative really going to help to make India self-dependent. It won't make India completely self-dependent, but it will definitely make a good progress in that way. That way. The third thing is state-run oil firms are planning to invest worth 723 crore to improve the liquefied petroleum gas. So LPG is what you use in our kitchen for cooking. So state-run oil firms are planning to invest more in that area to improve the liquefied petroleum gas infrastructure, whether it is creating pipelines, whether it is the facility that they can reach to different areas or different part of the country. So any infrastructure that takes that is necessary to make people reach or people use LPG is what in that cases they are investing most of the money in that. That's the one good thing. More people, if they use LPG, then there could be reduced usage of petrol and diesel. Obviously, we don't use petrol and diesel for cooking, but in some part of the world, LPG is used in vehicles and other industrial usage. So maybe that helps to improve the situation. The last thing is the oil ministry plans to set up a bio CNG, the compressed natural gas plants, and associated infrastructure with investment of 1 billion. That's a huge amount. So that is again a good initiative and investment plan. So and one more important point that we need to remember is currently, even though we are in the fourth position in terms of imports, all our imports necessities are met by the Asian suppliers. So it is called as OPEC. So actually, OPEC suppliers provide us most of the oil needs that India wants. So what happens here is India need to be very aggressive in scouting for the best prices, because OPEC countries, OPEC as in Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries. So there are a couple of countries, the Asian countries itself, they have formed a corporation and they decide the price of the crude oil per barrel. And for some countries, they sell it for a premium price. Okay. So that is the reason India is buying crude oil from these countries for a premium price, because as we know, we are fourth in terms of import, and the countries who are supplying crude oil, they also know that we depend on a lot of imports. That is the reason they demand for a premium price, and we don't have any other option because we have to import to run the country. But smartly recently, maybe I think after 2014 this happened, uh, to bring a good competition in terms of buying crude oil. Instead of buying it from the OPEC countries, recently government owned refineries started taking supplies of US crude in a bid to curtail dependency on West Asian crude, that is again OPEC. in an expanded supply market. So this actually expands the market we can approach and buy crude oil. Actually, crude oil, if we buy from US, we get it for a better price. When we buy it from OPEC, we get it for a premium price. So obviously, there is a sense why we are trying to buy it from the US. And one more reason why we want to buy it from US is, so if we are fourth in the rank while imports, in exports of other products, maybe the vegetables and any other products, because India is far rich in terms of agricultural products. We import lot of products to US. So there is a deficit of amount between how much we import and how much we export. We export a lot to a lot of countries. That is the reason the deficit is in has a big gap between US and India. So US, the Donald Trump, the current president, he asked India to take crude oil from them and reduce the deficit, because when we start importing crude oil, obviously we have to pay them money, and instead of paying them money, we compensate it for the export. So the deficit actually goes down. That's a good sign for US, and it is a good for us as we get the crude oil for lesser price. So it is a win-win situation for both of the countries, and that is a really smart move that took place after 2014. Maybe I don't know. It is a Modi idea, or it was proposed by Donald Trump. Whatever it is a win-win situation for both of us, and it helps both the countries, and it is a good sign. So that is on the investment and initiative side. So before I close off this topic, this session, few facts worth noting. So I said, I think multiple times I mentioned that we are fourth largest importer of crude oil. I think I mentioned it a couple of times, which is really irritating. I think it's irritating for everyone. It is really not good thing to hear sometimes when we know that higher the rank is not good in some conditions. We really don't want to hear that multiple times. So what are the good sides or good things about India on the oil and gas industry, or on the fuel industry you can think of? The worth noting points, there are a lot of, but I have put only five, which are very important. The first thing is we have the fourth largest coal reserves. You just may ask me that what we are going to do with coal. Coal is going to be used for electricity generation. So thermoelectricity generation, we could use coal, and most of the large scale industries, they don't depend on all the time, they don't depend on diesel and fuel for running their industry. Coal is more efficient because it is available inside India, it is available for a better price than other fuels, and it is a self dependency again. So that's important factor, and in world we are fourth largest in terms of coal reserves. So that's a good part. And second thing is India is the third top coal producer. So reservoirs is nothing but that the resources underneath the earth, but how much we are producing it or how much we are exploring that. So in that category we are third largest country, so which is again a good thing, which may not be good thing with respect to natural calamities and nature, but on other fronts, higher the rank in terms of reserves or higher the rank in terms of production capacity is definitely better to compete with other countries. The second thing is nuclear power. So India is the ninth, it is in the ninth position in the world in terms of producing nuclear power, which is used for generation of electricity again. So that is again one good thing. The third thing is the hydroelectric potential, that is the current or the electricity generated from the water flow. You could take the Jog Falls or any other river connected water hydroelectric power generation, the dams. We have a lot of rivers in India. That is a well-known fact, and we we are fifth in terms of ranking against other parts of the world. So that is again a very good thing. And India's scenarios are really positive for hydroelectric power generation, because in summer you can depend on the solar energy, because we have good amount of sunlight in all parts of seasons in India, which is not the case if you consider the European countries and the United States countries. But if you, as far as India is concerned, the hydroelectric power generation is one of the main electric power generation sources. So on that front, we are really good, and we rank fifth in entire world. And the fourth point is India has the fifth largest installed wind power. So you might see a lot of big fans everywhere you travel, any state you travel, which is a good thing, because we are using natural resources to generate power. We are not using more of a nuclear power or coal to produce electricity, because which is really not good thing if you consider the environment. So wind power generation, we have fifth largest installed wind power. It is installed wind power. We still have a lot of capacity to install wind power generation, but at the moment we are fifth, which is really not a bad thing. It is a good sign that we can be self-dependent in terms of electric power generation. Again, on solar energy, as I said, in most of the seasons we see good sunlight. We have good potential to generate solar energy, so that is again a good sign. And currently we have 600 terawatt of power generation capacity, so that is really a good thing to remember. So these five facts are very important. These are just limited facts. Doesn't mean we have only these five good things about India. There are a lot of things. Obviously, we cannot discuss every minute details, good thing about the India, but these are the major ones. So before I conclude this session, please remember that use products as much as you want. Don't exploit the resources that we have. It's very important to remember that these are all natural resources. These are not man-made. These are naturally available from the nature. So that's very important to understand and use the resources with sensibility. Okay, thank you guys. Thanks for being here, and please like the video if you like it, and kindly subscribe to my channel so that I can make more videos of different topics. Thank you. Thanks a lot.